Hello everyone. I'm going to do this exercise here, this landscape. I promised you last week that I'd take you through doing this exercise with a landscape. Remember that this here is just a source for the subject. We're not going to copy this faithfully. It's very easy to sort of draw this up, and when you're relying from photographs to merely copy what you see here onto there, and that often leaves us disappointed. So the intention isn't to copy this precisely onto there. This is merely a source of information. I can do with this information whatever I want, as indeed you will see me do in a few minutes. I'll be working in quite a loose, quite a fast style, which is I'm more suited to, and most artists like working in that style. So in a moment I'll draw this up and we'll make a start. See you in a moment. I've drawn the subject up very loosely, there's no detail there. In a moment you'll get a closer look at it. And for reference I've put the photograph here. This is a little village down in Gloucestershire. Some of you may recall this. We've done this, I think, with watercolour in one or two mediums in the past. It comprises of this lich gate here, and which leads into this field, which leads eventually to a church. Some houses here, and of course this prominent tree here with a hint of buildings through here. And that's what I'll be doing. A lot of this will hopefully be suggestion, as I keep reminding you, rather than me faithfully copying that onto here, which isn't the intended purpose. I've got my colours all mixed up. Cadmium red, alizarin red, raw cyan, burnt cyan I should say, lemon yellow, cerulean blue, ultramarine blue, sap green, and within those I can mix some other subtle colours. So away we go. So away I go. I've got my palette arranged, I've got some colours pre-mixed so I can go into it quickly. Yes, it's the blocking in process, so I'm going to start with the sky. The sky is where the main light is coming, so it's the best area to work first, rather than the foreground or indeed the tree. So I'm going to start with the sky. The lower part of the sky is cerulean blue, and as you probably remember, it's very easy to get skies too dark, so keep them light. The lower part of the skies are always lighter than the upper part. Ultramarine blue. I'm using acrylic. I'm using on lining paper, though it's got a covering of acrylic primer actually. There are clouds here. As you can see, I've brought the sky down into the tree. A little bit of spray, and just keep working away into that sky. There are some thin clouds there, so I can use a little bit. And remember, I'm blocking in. I can indicate the trees. I go for the dark area, which is, as you probably remember, the bottom. So at the moment I've got two things to consider. Tonal values and the colour. So I'm just establishing things very loosely, because this tree must register against that sky. And while I'm there, I may as well come to the foreground. Now I can come to the as you can see, I've now come to the middle area, the middle ground. Again, I'm just indicating, just glancing at the photograph here. I'm using acrylics. I don't think I mentioned it earlier. So, and once again, of course, I'm not trying to match the colours in the photograph. So I'm still blocking in, and I've got to come back in tidy and make all my adjustments in a little while. So I'm continuing to block in, again wherever the eye takes me. So I'll indicate a bit more of what's happening here. Trees through here. As you can see, I'm still developing or blocking in. I'll come back into the sky a little bit, maybe indicate some wispy clouds there. But it's important to establish a good lightness in the sky, which then everything else here registers against. So I'm happy with the sky, and I just keep blocking in. Going a little bit where the eye takes me. Remember, I'm still using the paint quite thin. So the blocking in process isn't far off being completed. Then I can come back and start to make further adjustments, or the final adjustments. It's a bit darker in this area. I can tidy this area up, develop it in a little while. The roof's a bit darker, so I'll come in there a little bit. That's it. Leave it. Good. Now I'm starting to do a little bit of tweaking in here. It is now blocked in, so I can come back and start to indicate. I don't want to get too fussy. Remember what I'm always saying to you. It's very easy to tighten up, and as you can see again now, my eye is going wherever it takes me. So once again, at this point here now, I'm starting to again work instinctively off the top of my head to some degree, just referring to the photograph here. I can establish the tree, or the base of the tree here. It's hard to see it on the photograph, but that's what I'm saying. Often you need to override what you see in the photograph. There's a bit of a picket fence here. Again, I don't have to put in each one, just indicate. This shadow against that light area there is quite important, similarly here, so that they contrast against each other. The sky at the moment I'm happy with. Alright, maybe I could come back into the tree a little bit. I've got to come back and develop the tree a bit more. There's a telephone box in there. So, some cadmium red, maybe just a touch of alizarin. Indicate telephone box. Stand back, look at it. There's a slightly darker area. For the moment that might be okay, though I may just take a little bit of a lighter red. Just to pick out maybe highlight. Probably need to come back in now and then leave it, otherwise you can fuss with it a bit too much. So once again I'm going now where the eye takes me. I've come back to the bottom of the tree to establish some cooler shadows, or cooler foliage. I want to leave the parts of the sky peeping through. Maybe then come back down into this area regarding the shadow of the tree. Maybe come over here and establish. There is a car here. I don't think I'll indicate the car through the lich gate. Stand back. You can see the mark making here. It's almost semi-abstract, isn't it? Now of course I can consider sort of bringing the painting to a conclusion. Come back into the top of the tree here. Remember, trees are lightest at the top. And I'm putting that tree in flat. I know people have problems putting red painting trees. They tend to overthink it a little bit. Into this area here. So I need to work on the tree a bit more. As you can see, there is a tree tucked behind here in the distance. You don't have to put that tree in. So just to prove the point, I'm going to ignore that tree behind the lich gate there off into the distance. So remember again, always be prepared to edit, to leave things out. So what I'll do there is to bring the sky down. I think it probably sits better. But there is a tree tucked behind there in the distance. Same situation here. I'm not going to overdevelop this area. Yes, once again I can pick out shadow there. Tweak the windows a little bit. I'm still using the mouth stick, as you can see. Then I can come again, still working on the windows. the window sills are quite light, so boom. Stand back. And that's possibly sufficient there. I'm just coming back into this fence here. But no, I'm not trying to pick out each individual part of the fence. There, for example, my eye says to me, or my instinct, come in there with a bit of a lighter. There we go. It's probably because there's a dark area here and a dark area here, so the sunlight will be picking out little areas. I've got to come back now and develop the tree a little bit more. Even though I'm putting paint here, in a few moments I might well go over the top of it. I can perhaps pick up some of the light here. As you can see, I'm trying to retain the neat colours around the top, the edge of the palette, and do my mixing here. It is important to be quite organised on the palette. As you probably already know, it can become disorganised and messy very quickly. I'm just going to work on the tree a little bit, but I'm not going to try and copy this tree as in the photograph. I just need to get a bit more subtlety into it. Also, I didn't mention earlier, texture. Once you get the blocking in process done, then you can consider putting the paint on more thickly, which I can do here. I keep the light here because the lightest areas on a tree on the edges. But now I can go in with some texture and put the paint on a bit more thickly. I won't develop the tree much beyond what I'm doing here. Perhaps I should go a touch lighter there, even though in the photograph it won't be as light as this. A light colour against a dark, a lighter tone I should say, against a darker tone. Maybe I'll come lighter in on the edges here. Now of course my attention comes to the foreground. So my attention now has come to the foreground. Here I'm going to put the paint in quite quickly, and also quite thickly as well. But in the image it's quite light, so I've got to be slightly aware of that. I need to lighten up here. into there. As I said, I'm going to leave out the car. Just blur off the path a little bit. I need to finish off the latch gate there. The lich gate, I should say. Okay, I just come back into there because this is a light area there. Just blend them together a little bit more. Okay, exaggerate a little bit. Put a highlight there. Smooth that, blend it in a bit more. Even though it's not strictly in the photograph, but it divides those two areas. I'm not going to do much more to this because I've conveyed to you the ideas. Nor again do I need to tweak and tinker too much. So this is the gate. It's a bit more detailed than I've indicated. I've been a bit clunky with it, but not to worry. See, even I got to resist over fiddling. Maybe some darker green just through here. Indicate a shadow rather. I think I'll leave this in a moment. It still needs the odd touch here and there, and this is quite important, the lamp post. So with the mouse stick again, holding my hand steady. So once again, I don't need a neat, precise line. A more spontaneous approach is better. Then I can come back and indicate just a few more branches within the tree. And again, where the sun picks them out. That's probably overstating it, to be honest. So I'll come back in a moment and put some foliage over there. There we go. Just knock it back a bit. So I'll leave the tree at this point. Probably needs a little bit of tweaking actually, but now I have come back to the tree. It was just a little bit too symmetrical, so I'm just trying to break that up a little bit. Trying again not to get too fussy. But I'm going to leave it very, very soon. I think I'll leave it now. Better. It needs perhaps a touch more, but I'm going to leave it. I've broken up this shape to have a bit more ragged edge to it. So here it is finally in a frame. So I won't tweak it anymore.